So I'm just going to click the record button and start recording. And I'll give my little intro again since I just started recording. Again, Eric Anderton, welcome to the 3 Pillars of Powerful Communication, how construction leaders can ensure profitable, high-quality projects by improving their communication skills. And I'm so glad you've joined me here for this webinar. I'd like you to consider this webinar very much as an oasis for you here in the next hour or so. An oasis is a place of rest, a place of reflection, and a place to really think about your business and what you're doing and how you can improve as a construction professional. So with that thought in mind, there's 3 things I'd like to encourage you to do. Number 1, shut down your screens. Put down your cell phone here for just an hour or so and really spend some time focusing. So one way I know that helps me to focus is when I pick up a pen and a piece of paper and just to start to make notes. So as you're making notes, I'd like you to think about what is the 1 or 2 key takeaways that I can get from this webinar here this afternoon. And with that in mind, I would like you also to participate. And what that means is when I ask a question, feel free to chat your answers into the box. And the reason why I'd like you to do that is because the more you participate and engage, the more you will get from the content that we share here this afternoon, okay? So let's just start with a little thought here. When was the last time you got stuck commuting home after a long day? You're in a line of traffic, crawling through a clogged intersection, inching forward to the front. You're just about to accelerate through when the light changes from green to orange. You look up, you see the traffic camera ready to flash and capture you running the red light. So you curse, you jam on the brakes, and you bang the steering wheel. For many of us, going through intersections is an extremely frustrating experience. Now compare going through an intersection with going through a roundabout. Compare that experience. Have you ever noticed the difference? Studies show that roundabouts contribute to an 89% reduction in delays. In the US, there just aren't enough of them. They're very popular in Europe. Every time I visit my dad in England, I love driving around roundabouts, and they're becoming more prevalent in the US, but there's only about 5,000 or so here. But more in the planning stages, so in the years to come, you should be able to look forward to those 89% reduction in delays and a little bit more flow and perhaps a happier commute. Now, in the same way that building roundabouts increases the efficiency of traffic and makes happy drivers, so too improving your communication skills will help to improve the efficiency of every construction project you build, and it will help you to drive down costs and increase your profits. So with that in mind, we're going to look into those 3 pillars of powerful communication. And this communication framework that I'm going to share with you here today is a comprehensive one. It's one that encompasses really every communication that you have with the people that you lead in your construction company on a daily basis. It's one that impacts the big picture of how you communicate as a construction professional, and it also impacts the daily communications that you have as well. And so there's 3 parts of the 3 pillars of powerful communication. There's the vision, there's the direction, and then there is the comfort. The vision, we're going to talk about why we exist as a company and how we behave, and how that impacts not only the big picture of what we do, but the decisions that we make on a daily basis. We're going to talk about direction in terms of how are we going to succeed and what's most important right now. And then we're going to talk about comfort. And you might wonder why I have a military image here when I'm talking about the word comfort. And I'm going to explain that to you in a little more detail later on. But the 3 parts of comfort that we're going to dive into are encouragement, accountability, and recognition. So those are the 3 things we're going to be covering here today in this webinar. So you don't need me to tell you that construction is an extremely challenging business. Okay, from 1964 to 2019, competition has gone up about 3 times. And this has had a massive effect on the labor pool. High school seniors rank construction in the bottom 5% of all careers. And so it's not only challenging to get jobs, but then it's hard to find good people to build jobs. And in this economy, it's not so much the getting of the job, it's the building of the job. That's the biggest challenge. Not to mention that construction is the second riskiest business that you can get into other than restaurants. And to top that all off, the average net profit for a construction company is 3%. So to put that in perspective, you need $33,000 in revenue to make $1,000 in profit. Or another way of looking at it, it takes approximately 4 to 5 profitable jobs to break even from one bad job. And in construction, there's not necessarily a magical formula. You know, we hope business will be smooth sailing, but it's more like a roller coaster, and there's no real guarantee of success. And so the construction business, you've got 4 major elements to it. You've got to bid the work, you've got to plan the work, you've got to build it, and then you've got to get paid for it. Very easy to say, but very hard to do. So let me ask you a question. What is your biggest challenge at the moment? This is a time for you to participate now. Chat into the box in 1 or 2 words. What is your biggest challenge in your construction business at the moment? Team communication. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Manpower, finding skilled trades, lack of good leadership, efficiency. Yeah, all of those things are deep challenges. I know manpower is such a huge issue at the moment. And finding not only, you know, bodies that you can put onto the job site, but then training them is a real, it's a real deep challenge at the moment. And that's having an effect on the profitability of the projects, and it's creating a lot of challenges and conflicts. Lack of good leadership. Leadership is something that takes time. You know, a lot of young people, they want to lead, but they haven't got the experience necessarily to lead. And getting that experience takes time. And so building those leadership skills is absolutely essential. Efficiency is a huge issue, just like someone chatted in here, right? It's one thing to get the work, but the gap between your revenue and your profit and your bottom line is all about the efficiency in terms of you building the projects. So with those challenges in mind, we also want to think about the opportunities, because there's always opportunities. In 2019, there's $808 billion forecasted in new construction in the United States. It's interesting, the Democrats have just taken over the House. We just had an election in the US, and they're proposing a bold, comprehensive plan to make a historic $1 trillion federal investment to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. I know many of my clients are extremely excited about that simply because it presents so many opportunities. And this could create more than 16 million American jobs. So there's great opportunity out there. And we know that construction is essential. It can't be outsourced. It's merit-based. And the best construction companies, these are the 7 attributes of the best construction companies. They pursue niche work at which they're excellent and profitable. They deal with clients that they know well. They work with project partners that they trust. They maintain high quality and efficient construction work. They emphasize and demand safety. They insist on timely payment for all dollars earned. And they have a financial cushion to weather the bad times. So here we are at the end of the year. And as you look forward to 2019, chat this into the box. What are your biggest opportunities that you're looking at in 2019? What are you most excited about in terms of the opportunities for your organization, your construction business in 2019? Margins, that's awesome. Yeah. I tell you, that's a great thing about construction. It's not the top line that counts. Okay. We can all go out and get fancy projects, and put our name on the highway as the cars come running by, but it's not the top line that counts. It's the bottom line that counts. And there's so much work that we can do between the top line and the bottom line to grow those higher margins. Another person chatted in here, growth. Yep. There's the great opportunity for growth. Green sustainable development. That's excellent too. Yep, there's definitely many different ways to skin the construction cat, so to speak, and deliver projects that are profitable and meet the client's needs. Anybody else? What other opportunities do we see here? Better communication with employees. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, better communication is something to really to focus on, because I really believe, and that's why I'm hosting this webinar here, that communication is the lifeblood of every construction organization. And it's the construction companies that communicate the best that have the biggest impact long term. So just to give you a little bit more about me, I've been helping construction companies build people and profit since 2004. There's three things that I focus on in my practice: executive coaching, leadership development, and strategic planning. Here are some of the companies that I work with, all the way from companies that are around $5 to $10 to $15 million in revenue, all the way up to billion-dollar construction organizations. And this is what one of my clients has to say about the work that I've done with them. This is Brett from Deacon. As a leader responsible for a large contracting firm, I'm approached occasionally by business consultants. The problem is that many don't have an idea as how a construction company operates and the challenges we face. Eric Anderton is different. He is unique because of his focus on the construction industry. He knows what makes a construction business tick and how construction professionals work. And the ideas that he shares are realistic to business and our people. And as a result of working with Eric, our teams are more focused on the aspects of leadership that have the biggest positive impact on the people and projects they're responsible for. If you're a construction contractor and need help developing your leadership team, I highly recommend working with Eric. And if you go to my website, you can see many more letters such as this from Brett, and you can see some of the work that I've done with my folks over the years. A couple of things about my personal style. I get really excited when I talk about these things. So I tend to say dude sometimes. One of my clients, he asked me once, "Hey, Eric, can I fine you every time that you say dude?" I didn't allow him to do that. But that's just part of how I present. And if you stick around to the end, I will send you a recording of this webinar that you'll be able to share with other people in your organization. And just partway through the webinar, I'll stop and I'll tell you specifically how you can get some help from me if you're interested in doing that. So I love this quote here from David Foster Wallace. "A real leader is someone who can help you overcome the limitations of our own individual laziness, selfishness, weakness, and fear, and get us to do better things than we can get ourselves to do on our own." So with that in mind, I'd like to ask you, what is your biggest challenge with being a leader? Type that into the box right now if you wouldn't mind. What is your biggest challenge with being a leader? Okay, we've got some feedback here. Thank you. Holding people accountable. Yep. Leading and not babysitting. That's fascinating. Listening. Now, in light of leading and not babysitting, I tell you, I'm reading a book at the moment. You guys should check it out. You can get it for free on Kindle. It's called Power to the Edge. And it's written by people who are involved in military planning, but it talks about pushing leadership responsibility to the very edge of an organization. Deep listening, that's a really good one. I tell you, that is one of the greatest skills as a leader that you can develop is deep listening. Engagement with common language. That's another thing that we as leaders need to focus on, is making sure that our communication is suitable to the people that we are leading. All of those things are absolutely essential. And here we have one, holding people accountable. So for the person who typed in holding people accountable, stick around. We're going to specifically talk about that. Holding people accountable, holding yourself accountable is absolutely essential. Because when it comes to leadership, there are things that we have no control over. So what are some examples of things that we have no control over in construction? Give me a couple of examples of that. Just type that into the box, please. What are a couple of things that you have no control over in terms of your business? The weather. Yep. We have no control over the weather. That's absolutely true. Yep. That's the first thing. Yeah, it's funny that everyone is in construction. Many interest rates. Yeah, you don't have control over interest rates. Financial fluctuations. Yeah, those things are all challenging. So when I think of things that we have no control over, the weather immediately pops to mind. It just started raining here in Northern California, and we're very thankful for the weather. But of course, that presents scheduling challenges that we have to work with that are out of our control. And so if you check this out, what you need to do is with the things that you have no control over, you need to not worry about that. Okay, you need to not concern yourself with those things. I have people raising their hand here. Is there a reason why people are raising your hand? Can you guys see my screen still and hear my voice okay? Just tap into the box if you can see my screen and hear my voice okay. Yep, you can see it. Okay, great. So I just wanted to double check that. Okay, thank you. So you don't concern yourself with the things that you have no control over. Now, there's things that we have some control over. What are some of the things that we have a degree of control over? Can you give me some ideas on that? What are some things that we have a degree of control over? Ourselves, okay. Types of projects we quote. Yeah, that's absolutely key right there. Expectations of customers. Yes. Okay, that's excellent. Anything else? What other things do we have a degree of control over? Yep, our relationships with other people. Yeah, it's interesting. That's why I put this image up here. We have a degree of control over things like the qualities of employees that we choose or the qualities of the projects that we pick. And with those things in mind, you cannot always control the outcome of the things that you have some control over, but you can always focus on the actions that lead to the outcomes that you desire. That's what leaders are very good at doing, is they're always focusing on the actions that lead to the outcomes that they can control. And then there's things that we have complete control over. And at the end of the day, the one thing that we have complete control over is ourselves. And that's what we need to control ourselves with. So with that in mind, one of the things that we can really focus on controlling is communication. It's communication. So let me ask you this. What is your biggest challenge with communication? What is your biggest challenge with communication? Give me some feedback on that, please. Great feedback here. Well, someone said English, which is really true, especially, I tell you, bilingual communication in the construction industry is absolutely essential. We have another one here, speaking less and listening more. And then we have another one, giving too much information. Yeah, that's really interesting. This is an interesting one. People hear what they want to hear. Yeah, it's very interesting. We all have a filter to what we hear and a filter as to how we interpret what people say. Here's another one, translation between trade talk and management speak. I tell you, that's absolutely essential. You always want to look for leaders who have the ability to go both ways and to speak in the way that folks in the field speak and to be able to communicate clearly with folks in the office. That is absolutely essential. So in terms of communication, there's three messages that we need to focus on. The first one is the vision. The second one is the direction, and the third one is the comfort. So now we're going to dive into the heart of the webinar and discuss those things. So let's start off with this idea of vision. And I want to give you a question here. What do you think Walmart's vision is for their business? Not what your vision is or your opinion of Walmart, but what would you say Walmart, one of the world's biggest retailers, what is their vision for their business? What would you say it is, if anyone had an idea? Give me some ideas on that. Lowest price. Okay, that's good. Sell the most stuff. Thank you. It's interesting. What else? What do you think Walmart's vision is for their business? One-stop shop. Excellent. Okay. Well, let me tell you what Walmart says that their vision is. It's to give ordinary folk the chance to buy the same things as rich people. Isn't that interesting? To give ordinary folk the chance to buy the same things as rich people. Yeah, and I see how Craig chatted in here. Save money, live better. Yep, that's excellent. So this is a clear vision that Walmart has for their organization. You may agree with that, you may disagree with that, but they're clear on why they exist. Now let's do another one here. What do you think Nike's vision is? What do you think that is? Nike's vision, what would you say that is? Feel free to chat that in as well. I really appreciate everyone's participation here, by the way. What is Nike's vision? All right, do it right. Yeah, just do it. Yeah, that's a tagline from Nike. It's really interesting. A good book to read, by the way, is a book called Shoe Dog. It's Phil Knight's biography. It's his autobiography, actually, and it's really, really good. To be the dominant sports shoe and sneaker brand. Yeah. So I'll tell you what, this is what Nike says their vision is: to experience the emotion of competition, winning, and crushing competitors. Think about that for a moment. Think about the contrast with Walmart. Think about, ask yourself the question, does that sound like a genuine vision statement? What do you guys think? Does that sound like a genuine vision statement? If you think that's a genuine vision statement, just type yes into the question box. Do you think that's a genuine vision statement? No. Okay, we got a no there. Absolutely. We got another no. Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's a very, what would I say here? It's a very polarizing one, but this is one that they have articulated over the years. They want to experience the emotion of competition, winning, and crushing competitors. And this is absolutely critical when you think about the vision that you are communicating to people in your organization. It has to be true to your company. So let me ask you this, and you can chat this into the box if you like, but at the very least, what I'd like you to do is to write this down. What is your vision for your organization? How do you think you make the world a better place as a construction organization? What is the vision that you have for your organization? Just chat that into the box, please. I have one here, live better. That's excellent. Thank you for chatting that in. That's a very interesting one for you to think about. How does your business help you to live better? That's an excellent one. What is your vision for your organization? Create a place where people want to be. That is very good. Positively impact the lives of people that we serve. That's excellent. That's excellent. So you notice the differences here. It's very interesting. We have this one here. The first one that was chatted in was live better. And that sounds like a very personal one, which is excellent. Then we have this one, create a place where people want to be. That has to do with the employees more, which I find very interesting. And then we have the one, positively impact the lives of people we serve. That has to do with the customers that you impact. That's what it sounds like to me, at least. So it's interesting when you're putting together a vision for an organization, you can approach it in many different ways. And two questions that I'd like to ask when really diving into this question of vision is why do we exist? And how do we behave? These are two essential questions that help to make up the vision of an organization and provide the foundation for all communication in a construction company. So let's break that down a little bit. See, the problem with some companies is they lack vision. They don't have time to stop and think, and they're running around like a headless chicken, right? We're all very, very busy at the moment because of the volume of work that's going on. But because of that lack of time to stop and think and that lack of real focus, then as a result of that, they begin to be very average. And the way you can see whether or not you're average in terms of your business is to look at your bottom line. The bottom line tells you the truth. Excellent construction companies are always improving their bottom line margins. And one of the ways they do that is by focusing on the way that they communicate. So what you need to do is you need to take time to get clear on the vision of your organization so that you can be focused on how you're going to execute that vision and make steady progress towards excellence. So I'll give you an example of one of my clients. Their vision is we build to provide and endure. They're in it for the long term. They want to provide for the people in their organization. They want to endure and they want to build. So it's a very deep, long-term commitment that they have, okay? Now let's talk about this idea of values or how we behave. There's a lot of talk about values, and there always is, and there seems to be some tension in an organization as to what kind of values we need to have, or how we should express them, or how we should articulate them. So let me ask you this. What are some of the values or behavioral traits that drive your business? Just chat that into the box here. What would you say are some of the values that drive your business? All right, excellent. We got here trust, relationship development, safety, that's excellent, integrity, professionalism, ongoing support. Yeah, this is excellent. These are all excellent values. The problem with a lot of people's value statements is that they're kind of blah, blah, blah. They're just kind of ordinary words that people use all the time. And one thing that you need to do when you're thinking about the values that drive your business is really dive in to what they actually mean. Because a lot of people are fuzzy about their values in an organization, and the leadership team is fractured about what those values should be. And as a result of that, people tend to be kind of forgetful about the values that drive behavior on a daily basis. And what the best companies do is they really get to the core, the DNA of their organization, because every company is driven by people. It is a reflection of the people in the organization, and specifically a reflection of the people who lead the organization. And so what the best companies do is they get clear on their top 3 to 5 non-negotiable values. And what that helps them to do is they then learn to say no to a variety of things, and they learn to say yes to the right things. If you have a good set of values, you know what it helps you to do? It helps you to build your strategy, because you can build your strategy of people development and people attraction around your values. You can build your strategy of client retention and client attraction around your values. You can build your processes around your values. And if you're doing those things, it really helps you to maintain integrity on an ongoing basis. So let me give you an example of one of my clients, the client I shared with you earlier, what some of their values are. One is the courage to break molds and eliminate excuses. Another one is the discipline to kick ass. And the wisdom is to stay humble together. Now think about it. As you look at those values there, how do those values strike you in terms of the way that they're written, and in terms of the words that they use? Give me some idea of how those value statements strike you. Just chat that into the box. Very practical, yeah. No, they're very practical. Bold, yeah, yeah. They're definitely bold. And it's interesting you say bold there, because bold is very much how I would describe this particular company. They're very bold. They're very unique. Yeah, see, this is the thing. This is really good here, guys. When you're thinking about your values, I really want to encourage you to stay away from the blah, 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 okay? And to really take a deep dive and see if you can describe your values in this kind of way here. The courage to break molds and eliminate excuses, the discipline to kick ass, the wisdom to stay humble. It sounds like a construction company, doesn't it? And so this is something that you really want to think about in terms of your vision, because communicating vision isn't just like getting together, at the end of the year for a Christmas party and talking about the vision of the organization. Communicating vision is something that you do every single day, in the way that you show up, in the way that you present yourself, in the way that you interact with people, whether it be on a very large scale or a very unique small scale, okay? So if you put those things together, they're very clear on their purpose, and they're very clear on their values. And my conviction working with construction companies over the years is that this kind of values driven through a company over a long period of time, it really does trump any kind of extra, money that someone can get, within reason. And the very best free agents in construction are looking for a place to belong and a place to contribute. And if you're clear on your vision, you'll be much more effective at attracting those types of people. And so the question is how do you get from being fuzzy to being clear, from being fractured to being united, and from people forgetting what your values and your vision is and really getting on the same page? The way you do that is by time and conversations. So one of the takeaways you can have from today's meeting is to get together with your executive team and ask them, what do you think our vision is? Why do we exist? Why do we, how do we behave? And what you're looking to do is you're looking to get a simple, clear, and consistent value statement and vision statement that you can then drive throughout the organization, from the individuals to the teams, to the departments, to the division, and all the way to your entire organization. So 2 questions you always want to ask. Why do we exist? How do we behave? That is the vision that you want to communicate on a daily, consistent basis to people in your organization. So the next thing we want to take a look at here is your direction, this idea of direction. The second pillar of powerful communication is direction. So direction is vision in action. Direction is how you translate that vision into practical action on every project that you build. Okay, and so the problem in a lot of organizations is the decision-making process is not as effective as it could be. There's some confusion, there's lack of ownership, and as a result of that, there's a lack of results. If direction communication is poor, then what you'll get is you'll get that lack of ownership, you'll get that confusion, and you'll get that lack of results. Again, communication is the lifeblood of an effective construction company and an effective construction project. There's lots of people out there who can put up a building, but it's the people who communicate the best that do it as in an effective way, that do it in a profitable way, and that sustain relationships with clients over a long period of time. Okay, so what you have to get really good at is making clear decisions and communicating those decisions so that people can take action, so that you can get buy-in, and so that you can get the results that you're looking for. So when it comes to direction, there are 2 questions that you want to be asking on a consistent basis. How will we succeed? And what's most important right now? So let me ask you a question here. How will we succeed? What, in your opinion, is the key to success in construction? Just chat that into the box. What is, in your opinion, is the key to success in construction? Planning, feasibility, pre-planning. Yeah, it's really interesting. Communicating. Someone typed in here, manage the crap out of the project. I tell you, construction is deeply, deeply challenging. Communicating, yeah, excellent, excellent. Build the right way, yeah, that's excellent, excellent. Pre-planning, man, that's a huge one right there, I tell you. So let me give you a perspective here on how you can be successful, and this is really key. I tell you, this is so essential right here. This is particularly important in a booming economy when there isn't a shortage of opportunity, but there may be the shortage of the right opportunity for your organization. And so these are the 3 things I'd like you to think about here. Now, right location, right job, right client. This is absolutely essential to success. In my opinion, this is the key to success over the long term in a construction company. You've got to have the right job with the right client in the right location. Okay? Now, let me ask you this. Do you know with crystal clarity the right job, the right client, and the right location for you? If you know that, type yes into the question box. If you know what the right job, the right client, and the right location is for you. Okay. So let me ask you this. Let me ask it in this way. I find that the construction companies who struggle with this really have the biggest headaches in terms of developing their business profitably. So if you struggle with this idea of right location, right job, right client, just type in struggle into the question box. Type in struggle. Yeah, I appreciate your, yep, thank you guys. Appreciate your honesty there. So some of us here on the call are very clear about it. Some of us have different answers to that question. Some of us are struggling with it. So what happens, do you think, when you get this wrong? What happens when you get this idea of your niche wrong? How does that impact your business? Give me some feedback on that. How does it impact your business when you get this part of your business wrong? Yeah, exit of key people. Yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah, you lose money, low morale. Yes, yes. I tell you, think about the morale in your organization at the moment. If the morale is suffering, it may have to do with that idea of the wrong job for the wrong client in the wrong location. Loss of profit, bad reputation. Yeah, all of these things are very essential. So what this is a takeaway for you in your organization. You need to sit down with the executives in your team and have that conversation. What is the right location? What is the right client? What is the right job? Look at the jobs that you have on your backlog at the moment. Which are the ones that you're excited to build and which are the ones that you've contracted but you're not excited to build? That's a massive issue in a lot of organizations. And so it's something that you need to focus on, because when you get this wrong, it has a huge impact on your business. Now, let's think about another question. Okay, not only how are we going to succeed by building the right jobs for the right clients in the right locations, here we are at the end of 2019. Let me ask you this. If you know what's most important for you to accomplish in the next 90 days, January, February, and March in 2019, type yes into the question box. And if you don't know what's most important for you in your company in the next 90 days, please type no into the question box. So I'm looking for a yes or a no. Okay. It's interesting. We have a degree. Oh, in process. Yeah, someone's in process. That's great. We have some people who say yes, some people who say no. So think about that. What's your rally cry for the first 90 days? And if you're at all confused about it, then it's something that you need to get crystal clear on, because if you don't know what's most important right now in your organization, you can sure bet that the people that you lead don't know either. And one of the things that you need to focus on in your leadership is consistently communicating what is most important right now. Because again, going back to the ideal of a construction company, the way a project should go, right, is you bid it before, you build it during, and you put a bow on it after, right? But the reality of construction is it's multifaceted. There's things that you have no control over and some control over and total control over. And the nature of reality, this is one of the natures of reality. It goes from order. This is called entropy, by the way. This is one of the laws of physics. Things go from order to disorder to chaos. And I just want to encourage you. One of the key ways that you can break this cycle of order, disorder, and chaos as a leader is to be crystal clear and consistent in your communication. Because remember, a real leader is somebody who can help us overcome the limitations of our own individual laziness, selfishness, weakness, and fear, and get us to do better things than we can do ourselves on our own. Okay? Now, when it comes to direction, you have to decide what needs to be done. And then you need to delegate it. You need to identify what's most important right now. And then you need to be able to figure out who's going to do it. So let me give you an illustration of this. This is a map of the Allies' advance across Germany in 1945. So on the left of the screen, you've got the British and the Americans. On the right, you've got the Russians. Think about this. What do you think the rally cry or the one thing that they wanted to accomplish that everyone was crystal clear on? Just type that into the box. What was the one thing that everyone was focused on in terms of accomplishing in the midst of this very complex process of fighting a war? What would you think that is? What's that one thing that they were focused on? Just type that into the box, please. What's the one thing they were focused on? Direction. Yeah, that is funny. Yeah, the arrows there, they give you this idea of direction. think about the direction that they were headed, right? If you look here on the top right of the screen, they were headed to Berlin. Jennifer, you got it. Here, let me just move on here. This is great. We've got a winner. The rally cry was beat Germany. That's right. I tell you, all of this complexity, but the one thing that everyone was focused on was beat Germany. You think about your construction projects, all of the complexity, all of the chaos that can come into an organization and into a construction project. You've got to be crystal clear all of the time what's most important. And the way you figure out in the decisions that you make in order to achieve that one thing is by getting data, getting into discussions, and then making decisions, okay? So you need to go through fact gathering and analysis in order to make effective decisions. And when deciding what needs to be done, what the best construction companies do is the stimulus comes in, they get into this place of free discussion. From the free discussion, they make clear decisions. And because they've had the free discussion, they expect full support, and then they make their response. And if they're wrong, then they go all the way back up to the top and get free discussion, clear decision, and full support. And so once you make that clear decision, you expect full support, and it's time to delegate, okay? Now, this is an interesting little cartoon here. You have to delegate some authority. Let me ask you this. Why don't we delegate? What is the one reason why you don't delegate? What's the biggest struggle you have with delegation? Please type that into the box. What's the biggest struggle? Trust. Yeah, that came up real quick. Trust. Think about that. One of the reasons we don't delegate is because of a lack of trust. Another one, it won't get done as well. Yes. Yep. Another one is a lack of skills. I find that's often, and a lack of confidence in others. Yeah. So a lack of skills and a lack of confidence is related to trust. This idea of losing control, that's a very good one. Thank you for being honest. History of poor performance. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'll tell you. So it's very interesting. Why is it that people struggle with trust? In my experience, one of the reasons why people struggle with trust is because people who are very good at what they do, they like to be the hero. They like to be the ones who solve all the problems. They like to be the ones who, rip off the suit and come out in the cape and zoom through the skies and solve all the problems. They just like being the hero. And while that's effective in the short term, it's not effective in terms of building a long-term business. Not only do they like to be the hero, but a lot of people, they do micromanage a little bit, and they're perfectionists. They're perfectionists, and because of that perfectionism, they tend to not release tasks to other people because, like somebody said, they tend to want to hold on to those things. And combined with that is what you already talked about. They lack trust in people, whether it be because of their skills, whether it be because of the way that they perceive people, they lack that trust. So wanting to be the hero, perfectionism, and a lack of trust are all things that hinder delegation. So let me give you a real simple framework for delegation. Number one, you need to choose which tasks you're willing to delegate, okay? Then you need to pick the best person to delegate to. And then you need to give them clear assignments and instructions. You need to set up a definite task completion date and a follow-up system. Then you delegate responsibility and authority, not just the task. And then you insist on avoiding reverse delegation. So in other words, when you give them something to do, you make sure that they don't immediately try and give it back to you, because you understand that your tendency is to want to take those tasks on. But you must really be working with them to avoid that reverse delegation. So deciding and delegating is absolutely critical in terms of giving direction. And let me give you the secret to effective decision-making and effective direction. And this is the secret. Look at this here. If you're wrong, you just admit it. If you make a decision and it turns out to be wrong, the first thing you do is you take complete responsibility and you say, I was wrong. We shouldn't have made that decision, okay? And show a bit of humility, and that will really buy you authority with the people that you lead and the people that you relate to when you admit when you make mistakes. And then just get right back into that loop of free discussion, clear decision, and then expecting full support. One of the ways you maintain your authority as a leader is to admit when you're wrong and then go about setting things right. Okay? So when it comes to direction, you always want to identify a rally cry, areas of fierce focus, and then critical numbers that tell you whether or not you're achieving your areas of fierce focus. Okay, so this is what it would look like. So think about your next 90-day plan. You want to make sure you have a rally cry right at the top. Then you want to have areas of fierce focus that are going to drive that rally cry. So let's say you want to be more profitable on the jobs that you build, and that's going to be your rally cry. Then your areas of fierce focus might be something to do with safety, might be something to do with scheduling, might be something to do with quality. Okay? And then you want critical numbers that tell you whether or not you're doing your area of fierce focus so that you're then driving your rally cry. Make sure you're crystal clear on the direction that you need to give to people in your organization. Okay, so we've talked about vision, we've talked about direction, and now we're going to go on to the secret sauce of the best leaders, and that is this idea of comfort. Okay, now I get this from the ancient Roman legions. They had one of the guys in the ancient legions was called the comforter. And what the comforter would do is he would come alongside the troops as they were going into battle, and he would encourage them that they could fight the battle that they were facing. And let's face it, here's a great quote from the author of Little House on the Prairie. This earthly life is a battle. It is, if it isn't one thing to contend with, it's another. It's always been so, and it always will be. The sooner you make up your mind to that, the better off you are, and the more thankful you are for your pleasures. So in light of being a comforter, there's three aspects of that. Number one, it's encouragement. Number two, it's accountability. And number three, it is recognition. And I strongly believe that this is the secret sauce of great leaders. Great leaders, they encourage people, they hold people accountable, and then they are very good at recognition. So let me ask you this question. What is one thing you do to encourage people in your organization? Give me some feedback on that. How is it that you encourage people? What do you do to encourage people? Buy lunch. There you go. Feed them and they'll get encouraged. I'll tell you. Positive feedback. Recognize a job well done. Yep, you can do it. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so let's think about this a little bit in terms of you can do it. Let's think about this. If you're going to be able to say with any credibility to someone, hey, you can do it, you're kind of acting in the way of a coach in this particular situation. If someone's going to believe you when you tell them that they can do it, then what they need is they need a certain mindset, okay? They need a real clear understanding of what their role and their duty is in the responsibility they've been given. They need clear actions that they can control and focus on. And they also need the ability to do those actions, both from a technical perspective and an authoritative perspective. And they also need a clear purpose for what they're doing. They need those things. So if you're going to tell someone they can do it, they need to have the right mindset in terms of their duty. They need to be very clear on the actions they need to take to execute the duty. And they need to understand why they're executing those duties, okay? So let me give you a definition of high performance. High performance is concentrating on the few tasks that, if done with excellence, will really make a difference in the results of your job and in the performance of the company. So let's take a foreman as an example, okay? What would you say as a foreman? What are the top 3 outcomes a foreman is expected to achieve in a construction company? You can type in 3, but just type in 1. What do you think one of the top 3 outcomes a foreman is supposed to achieve? Okay, effectiveness. That's a good one. Okay. Give me another one here. Manage labor productivity. Excellent. Safety. That's another excellent one. Meet the schedule. Efficiency. Okay. Really excellent. So think about this. Here's another little triangle here. Foremen are responsible for the build. 3 aspects of the build: safety, speed, and quality. Okay. Now, so think about one of the foremen in your organization that you can give some comfort to and some real encouragement to in terms of they can do it. One of the things that you want to do is you want to pick the most important outcome. So if you were picking the most important outcome for your foreman at the moment of those three things, safety, speed, and quality, which would be the most important one for you at the moment? Just type that into the box if you'd like, or if you don't want to type it in, just write it down on a piece of paper. Okay, quality, that's great, okay? Quality, quality, quality. Wow, we got 3 qualities right off the bat. That's excellent. Okay, so the most important outcome. Let's think about that one then for the moment. Think about the most important outcome of quality. Now ask yourself this: what are the top 3 actions or tasks that lead to the outcome that are in the control of the foreman? What are the top 3 tasks or actions that lead to that outcome of quality that are in control of the foreman? Being prepared. That's excellent, okay? Clear communication, very good, okay? Oversight, checking your work, knowing your plans and specs, yep. Okay, so what you want to do then is, as you think about what's most important for your foreman, is you then want to think, what is that most important task? And this is something that you can do. Sit down with your foreman, or you can take any position in your company. Ask them, what is the most important outcome that you're expected to achieve? What are the 3 actions that lead to that outcome? Pick the most important outcome. And then ask this question: in what specific ways can I improve my performance of this task? Sit down with someone in your organization. And the way that you can encourage them is to help them to work through how specifically they can improve their performance of that task. Have them write down a list of ways that they can improve that performance. And you can even write down a list of ways that they can improve their performance. And then pick the most important way that they can improve that, and put together a plan for them to work on improving that performance. So with this idea of comfort, you want to give them that encouragement, and then you want to hold them accountable. So let's talk about accountability a little bit. Accountability is holding people responsible for their actions and outcomes, appropriate to their authority and within their realm of responsibility. Okay, now let me ask you guys this. Type into the box yes if you are challenged with holding people accountable. If it's a challenge for you, type yes into the box. Okay, we've got some honest people here. No, all right, we have one person who said no. Yes in capitals. Okay, excellent, excellent. So let me ask you this. What is your biggest challenge with accountability? If you could type that into the box in a word or 2. What is your biggest challenge with accountability? One here. We got balancing consequences with the impact on the company. Yeah, there's a lot of subtlety and complexity behind that. Yep, I really appreciate you sharing that. Follow through. Yep. Encouraging them to be engaged. Yeah, we got some really good feedback here. Concern that people would leave. I tell you, yeah, man, I feel that pain right there. Yeah, it's a challenging one. So let's look at it here. The idea of accountability is this: the way you hold people accountable is by getting into a rhythm of accountability. And in some cases, that's a daily accountability. In some cases, it's weekly. In some cases, it's monthly. I'll give you a simple illustration. I hold my kids accountable on a daily basis for making their beds. I don't do it on a weekly basis. I do it on a daily basis. Some things require daily accountability. Some are weekly. Some are monthly. And so when you're holding someone accountable, what you want to do is you want to ask them first, what have you accomplished? What have you accomplished? And then the second thing you want to ask them in an accountability conversation is, what do you need? What do you need? Okay? So it's very important when you come to an accountability conversation that when you ask them what they've accomplished, they may have fallen short of their own expectations or your expectations, or they may be struggling with what you're holding them accountable for. So the question then to ask is not how can you get your act together, but what do you need to succeed? How can I help you? Okay? And then if in that conversation, you see that they have all the resources they need, but they're not doing what they need to be doing, then you've got to ask the question, if not, why not? Why is it that you're not accomplishing what you need to accomplish? You need to be able to go through that meeting rhythm, accountability rhythm on a regular basis of asking them, what have they accomplished? What do they need? And if they haven't accomplished what they need to accomplish, why not? Be very clear with that perspective. Now, of those three things, which is the one that is most important? What have you accomplished? What do you need? If not, why not? What would you say is the most important in terms of an accountability conversation? Or perhaps it's the rhythm of accountability. What do you think is most important? What do you need? Yeah, that's absolutely essential. What do you need? What do you, yeah. Keep asking them that, because you always want to be communicating to folks. What do you need to succeed? That's absolutely essential. So before I move on to the next part of this idea of comfort, I just wanted to let you guys know how you can get some help from me if you'd like. And that's through the 3 Pillars Leadership Academy. Okay. Now, the 3 Pillars of Leadership Academy cover vision, direction, and comfort. And the way it works is there's 3 one-hour sessions. You would get 3 complete toolkits, unlimited lifetime support via email for all participants in the academy, and 100% money back guarantee. So let me tell you a little bit about the investment involved. And this is for specific companies. So for your company, if you want to go through the 3 Pillars Leadership Academy, it's normally $8,997, but through the end of next week, I'm offering it online for $4,997. Or we can do it in person for a half day. Normally that would be $15,000, but I'm offering it for $99.97. That does not include travel expenses if you're outside of the Northern California region. And there's a 100% money back guarantee, but those prices are available only before December 14th, 2018. Now, the key here is if whether or not you would qualify for this opportunity. And so what I need to do in order to determine that is to have a short conversation with you. And so if you're a construction company owner or CEO or president, then please go to this website here. If you're interested in having a chat about whether you qualify for the 3 Pillars Academy. And I'm going to type this into the box real quick. So excuse me for a minute. It's 10-minute conversation.youcanbook.me. I think I got that right there. Yeah, 10-minute conversation. Just go to 10minuteconversation.youcanbook.me. You can see my calendar there, and you can book in 10 minutes with me in order to see if you qualify for the 3 Pillars Leadership Academy. I don't take everyone into the academy. I just need to ask you a couple of questions to see where you're at as an organization and to see whether or not you and I would be a fit for that, okay? So if that's something you're interested in and you're a construction company owner, CEO, or president, please feel free to book in that 10 minutes with me. Okay, all right, so now let's move on to the next aspect of comfort, and that is the idea of recognition. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is to think back to a time when you were recognized. Type in one word. How did that recognition make you feel? Just type that in for me, please. How did that recognition make you feel? Awkward. That's interesting. Someone just typed in awkward. It made them feel good. Okay. Uplifting. That's excellent. How did it make you feel? Competent. That's encouraged. Encouraged to do more. Excuse me, I just took a drink of water there. Valued. No, it's really interesting. Think about those words there. Proud, uplifting, competent, valued. It's very interesting. I have a funny story about recognition. I was working for a great company a number of years ago, and I got the award of the Marketer of the Year. I tell you, I got the award for the Marketer of the Year, and I was super excited. And the guys who gave me the award, they were very genuine about giving me the award. But you know, the only problem was, I was the only person in the marketing department. So I got the award for Marketer of the Year, but I was the only guy in the marketing department. And so when it comes to recognition, you have to be very focused on the messages that you communicate to people in your organization. And so in terms of that, that recognition, it needs to be specific, it needs to be personal, and it needs to be consistent. Okay. Now, what I mean by consistent is this. I don't mean that we have to recognize everyone for every single thing that they do, but you don't want to think that, oh, I recognized that person a year ago and I don't have to say anything for another year. And recognition doesn't have to be necessarily a plaque or money. It could be you simply walking into their office or onto their job site, looking them in the eye and telling them how much you appreciate what they did. So what I'd like you to think about here is think about one person in your organization and write down the specific thing that you want to recognize them for. What is the specific thing? And if you like, you can type that into the box. The specific thing that you want to recognize them for. What is that one specific thing? Because one of the applications that I'd like you to take away from this webinar is going through that process of specific, personal recognition of people in your company. So what's that one specific thing that you're going to recognize someone for? Excellent. A superintendent, you're going to recognize for safety. That is wonderful. Thank you for typing that in. What else? Recognition for safety. Someone's going to recognize someone for having a good attitude, taking on increased responsibility. Yeah, that's excellent. Loyalty. Oh, I tell you, loyalty is priceless in this job market. So you really want to make sure that you're recognizing people for that. That is absolutely excellent. That's wonderful. Okay, so think about this. You know, where we started off, we started with this idea of frustration and this idea of when was the last time you got stuck commuting home after a long day in a line of traffic crawling through a clogged intersection, and the frustration that comes with that kind of process. And we compared that to the flow of going through a roundabout and how it's much more effective, it's much easier, and it helps to reduce stress quite a bit. And my contention to you guys here and my encouragement to you is as you improve your communication in the same way that building roundabouts increases the efficiency of traffic and makes for happy drivers, so improving your communication skills will help to improve the efficiency of your construction projects, drive down costs, increase profits, and make for happy employees and clients. So again, those three pillars of powerful communication are vision, they are direction, and then the secret sauce, encouragement. So now it's time for you to get to work, okay? I love this quote from George Patton. A good plan violently executed today is far better than a perfect plan tomorrow. So in terms of this idea of vision, comfort, and direction, where do you want to be, let's just say 90 days from now, okay? Think about the vision that you want to clarify, the direction that you need to give, the accountability that you want to get better at, the comfort that you need to provide to people in your organization. So 12 months from now, how do you want to be better in terms of identifying your niche, perhaps, in terms of right client, right job, right location? Okay, think about those things. Then think about where are you now? Be honest about where you are now in terms of your communication skills as a leader. How good are you at communicating vision, direction, and comfort? If you think you can get better at communicating those things to people in your organization, just type in better into the question, the chat box here. If you think that you can get better, just type in better. Awesome. Awesome. That's great. I tell you, that's one of the great things that we can all focus on is this idea of always getting better. So the question you want to ask yourself then is, what is holding you back? So just type in, what is holding you back? If there's one thing that's holding you back from communicating these things, clarifying them, and communicating them more effectively, what would you say that one thing is? Okay, time. That's very interesting. Time and energy. Me, yeah. I really want to challenge you who've typed in time here to really address that and to think about what can I do to be more effective in using my time so that I can focus on these three things, because these things at the end of the day are at the core of your responsibility as a leader. Your job as a leader is to identify the things that are holding you back and to begin to go to work on those things. So with that in mind, I'd like to just open it up here. What questions does anyone have in terms of these things that I've shared so far? If you have a question or some comments or feedback, just type that into the box and I'm happy to answer those questions. I'll give you just a minute or two here. As we wrap up, what questions do you have? If people feel uncomfortable with comfort, yeah, you can change the word. You don't have to use the word comfort, perhaps. And if people are uncomfortable with, let's say, being recognized, some people are, then what you need to do is you need to be able to find out how that person wants to be recognized and recognize them in the way that they prefer. So for instance, some people are profoundly uncomfortable with public recognition. It's just the way that they are. So make sure that you respect that and recognize them privately. I have another question here. How do you measure your progress with effective communication? I think there's two ways to measure progress in terms of effective communication. One is subjective, and that is the general atmosphere in your office and on your job sites. The other way is to look at your bottom line, because I strongly believe that if you're improving communication, it's going to affect your numbers in terms of safety, in terms of quality, in terms of productivity. It's going to affect your bottom line. If you focus on communication, communicating vision and direction and giving comfort, you'll see it in your bottom line numbers. So what I'd encourage you to do is to set yourself a goal. If you have a net profit of 3%, perhaps you say, I want to bump that by a couple of points. Maybe I just want to go to 3.5%. And you focus in on communication so that you can see whether or not that will help to move the dial in terms of your profitability. So think about the metrics in your organization that are related to communication. Focus on improving your communication and see what changes occur as far as that's concerned. Any other questions here before we wrap up? Okay, awesome. So keep in mind here the three pillars, Leadership Academy. What I'd like you to do is, if you're an owner of a construction company and you're interested in just seeing if you qualify for the Three Pillars Leadership Academy, book in that 10-minute conversation with me. And in 10 minutes, we'll be able to have a chat and see if there may be a fit there. We can take a further dive into the content that's in the Three Pillars Leadership Academy. And we can talk about whether you'd like to do it in person or whether you'd like to do it online. Just book in that 10-minute conversation with me. And keep in mind that the pricing that I mentioned earlier is available through the end of the next week. And the reason why is because I'm going on vacation after that. I'm going to go celebrate my 15th year anniversary with my wife. And so I'll be out of the loop for the rest of the year. So if it's something that you're interested in, I'm happy to further chat with you about that. I just want to say this. Thank you to everyone who participated in the webinar here this morning and this afternoon. You guys did a great job participating. I really thank you for chatting in here. If you have any questions, you can always contact me. You have my email. My name is Eric Anderton. And thanks again for joining me here today.